Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's April 21st. This will be our chart lesson for today. Um, Interesting kind of day today. It was just kind of a slow, steady chop downward. I believe that there's a two-tiered channel. The bluer ones here, but notice the green lines I drew in there. There just seemed to be some resistance along that area and some support along that area. In fact, we never got back down here to this lower line. So it could be possible that this is the channel, the two blue ones, and maybe the midline is along here. It just doesn't fit very well. I really believe the bigger channel to be it, and it was just actually I've got those backwards. It just was really kind of a hard day to read. It really was. It's all downhill. Um, But what this might be is a spike, and this is the channel, and you had a break here and two legs to a new low, and then we tried to go higher from there. Um, we still couldn't get a lot above this trend line up here, though. It still continued to hold all afternoon. So I'm not really sure. Early on, I played the shorter term trend lines, is what I was doing, and that really got you where you needed to be. And that's why I'm always telling you, you need to know how to find those and how to read them and use them. Because they tended to do the job. And so just kind of an interesting day. It's usually a lot easier to pick out a pattern and what's going on and find the channels and so forth. Um, so it could be that there's a spike in channel and this is the shorter, this is the tighter channel with a break and the two legs down, and then we tried to correct. But you still can't explain why this trend line came back into play here. Maybe there's more than one pattern here. That sometimes happen, but these are all so closely related that it's hard to believe this would be two separate patterns, but maybe it is. So anyway, regardless, let's back out, talk about the trades. A few more trades today than there have been like last couple of days, but it still was just a little, difficult to read kind of almost. So, but anyway, we had this big channel working up, and it's hard to know if we really had a close on it or not. Uh, it's probably more of a spiking channel, but generally these that go this steep, you like to follow them. But notice that we got a close outside, but it's not really. It's deceiving because um, it's not a bearish bar, but there's a close outside, a move to a new high, and then a huge sellout. So usually when you see something like this and the sell-off is real steep like that, and that's about a 50% pullback, so that was a place to look for a possible bounce. Um, but generally, when you see a day like this, it's a good clue that it's probably going to be a range kind of day. And really, I guess you could say, maybe it is a range day that but we trended it. Because if you look across here, there is some consistent support across there with maybe a break lower, but it's just not enough to hang your hat on or anything. So anyway, this was a little deceiving, and so I wasn't sure what was going on here. You got to draw these shorter term trend lines, and we definitely had one kind of working up here. You can't go short right here. That's the thing. Let me move this out of the way. Even if you didn't have the trend line there, you can't really go short here. It's a second entry, but look at your signal bar. And you don't want to go short below that. And so by the time you wait on this one, look what happens to it. And then you get another inside bar and another inside bar. And what it turns out to be is a failed second entry short. And that's a great place to go long, figuring we're going to test this high again. And that turns out to be a great trade. So this is one of those where you just had to be kind of patient and ride it out and see what happened. And if you got eager and tried to take the second entry short, but notice how everything's kind of both sides of the EMA and we're kind of working above it more or less. So you got to be really careful about going short right there. Um, you need a really good setup. And it didn't go far, but it was a pretty good trade. And any runners would have, you could have ridden them up a little bit as well. Not very far because you started to get breaks pretty quickly. And then we shoot right back below the EMA again, come back and test it, and then turn back down. So I like that for a second entry short. We had this moving up and a break, And looking at this after the fact, this is the way I was looking at it early on. But looking at it after the fact, this almost looks like a little spike in channel itself right here. And so, um, you don't really want to be going short here. You really need to wait on the second entry. But notice what happened. This is what a reversal pattern will generally look like. It shoots right through the EMA, pulls back and tests it and turns back down and gives you a second entry short counting off the high right there. And it's not a perfect bar, but it's pretty bearish, and it's one tick from closing on its low. So I like that one. Um, Thinking that, hey, we're probably going back down to test the lows now. We've made a lower high. And you're really thinking measured leg here. That's going to be your first thought. And you can see we found that's where we got to, and we tried to correct right there, but we never really could get anything going. Um, so, um, but that would have maybe kept you in this a little bit longer, and then we got a little move up here. It's the first break of this channel, so you're looking for a new low on it, but then you get the break of this one, a new high, and you get a little doji there. I would have been leery about going short below that, but it went higher and then turned down and gives you a nice place to go short there on that little double. It's kind of like a trap, but it's a failed second entry. Actually, well, you could treat it like a failed second entry long, but it's really just a second entry short with a little trap at these double high matching bars here. So that's enough. And then you get a first entry, pull back, and there's a second entry long there. And we did make a new low here, but this is not somewhere you really want to go long. We're still below the EMA. You got this trend line working down. So just sit tight, and it breaks higher and gives you a failed second entry long, and that thing turned down pretty strongly. Just go short right there, and that's another quick, easy move. And then it's really hard to know what's going on in here. Notice I don't have anything marked. I don't see anything. If anything, I would be tempted to go short here, but there's this little channel right here, and that's the first break. It does try to come back for a retest, but the market's too strong. But there's no short either. So again, you just have to kind of sit tight, and then it starts working higher. You get a break and a move to a new high. But this is a downtrend, and so I'm not going to go long on that right there. I just don't think it's worth it. It would have worked out for you, but I don't think it's worth it. You did get a break, you got a new high, you pull back, and it tries to push higher one more time. And you might have even thought, hey, this is a failed second entry short here, and thought about going long, but you had two or three little overlapping bars and things, and I just think, there's been all downhill. I think you're better off to wait. And really, I was looking at this as the trend line, but we're not getting back up there. So I drew this line here just to see what happens. So it looks, if you're looking at this green line, it's looking like, hey, maybe this is a failed break higher here, or maybe this is a break of the spike in channel or whatever. So again, I think this is one you just sit tight and see if you get a short, and you do. You got the break, move to a new high, and then you get that little trap and a turn down. So I like that one for a short. And then it tries to go higher here again and fails and turns down. Just go short right there. And this was a really pretty good trade. A lot of them didn't move too quickly, but everybody keeps trying to get long, and they just keep selling off. So you got to be careful. And then here we got it again. We're moving up, and you get a failed second entry short. But every time we've had one, it's failed. So I'm not crazy about taking it. It was really tempting to go short right there. But look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By the time that happens, we got 6 overlapping bars straight across. It's right at the EMA. You're not getting through the EMA, but it's not really rejecting prices off of it like it should. Look how it rejects off every time, and it's just not rejecting off of it. And so this was really tempting. If you got short there, when this ended as a doji, after that big bearish bar, that's not a good sign. That might be your clue to exit. And when this one turned up, I definitely wouldn't have held on to it. But I didn't want to go. I don't think you go long there either because it's the same thing. You got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 overlapping bars. It turns back up and it finally turns down. But there's again, I don't like going short up there either. Wait and see. And then again, it shoots right through the EMA, pulls back, and then it goes higher first and then turns down. That's the repeat pattern we saw. Um, where did we see it last time? Right here, similar to here. Um, we saw it a couple times, but it runs down, pulls back, and then turns down again. And it went. This one went higher. I'm pretty sure this went higher first and then turned down. But either way, you could have even waited on this bar and waited on the break below it. But I would have used a limit order there probably. It wouldn't have mattered either way. It went lower. And then they're just, you can't go long down here really. You might, you probably want to consider it if you notice how we're bounced off that line every time. But, it's been all downhill. I don't see any reason to be thinking long because every time it does look that way, it traps people. And you can see it did that again here before it went lower. There's actually a failed second entry long that might have been worth a short right there if you were still trading, but that's after the 2 o'clock hour, so I didn't mark it. But notice how you had to sit tight from really from about 9 o'clock to 10:20. That's almost an hour and a half. You have to sit there and just watch this. And that's very hard for people to do. And that's generally what leads people to start guessing or just start trying to force an entry. And that's what happens. They burn you over and over and over. So you're better off just to sit there and be patient and wait because something will come soon. And then you got a couple of really good trades here. And this one's borderline because you do have your break and a move to a new high, but if it would have broke below this bar, maybe, but when this one ended inside, I scratched that idea and I kicked myself afterwards, but you can't let that upset you. You say, hey, it wasn't a good setup. If I'd have entered, it might have failed. So I did, even though it went on without me, I did the right thing. And then you get a chance to enter and you get some of it. So it's hard to do that. And that's where traders really struggle. And that's what leads to losing trades. And you just have to be able to force yourself to sit on your hands and do nothing. If it gets like that, get up, go take a break. Go walk around the block or something and come back and see if something's happened and, get your mind off of it for a little bit. That's what I used to have to do to force myself to do it. I don't have to do that anymore. I can sit here and watch it and I may read an email or do something just to take my mind off of it. But but if you need to, get up and walk away. If you can't, if you don't have the intestinal fortitude to say, no, there's no trade, I can't take one, and you have a problem with that, then get up and walk away. Come back in an hour, come back in 30 minutes and check it and see what's going on, or come back in an hour. Yeah, you might have missed something while you were gone, but there's something else will come along. That kind of reminds me of a trader made a comment on the thing today. He'll probably giggle if he hears this, but he asked me if I was upset with myself because I missed the big downtrend Friday. I actually traded Friday. I just didn't hang around long after I got through trading, so I didn't really miss it. But sometimes I do miss good days, and he asked me if I would get mad at myself for that, and no, that's part of trading. And back in the old days, yeah, I used to get mad, and I couldn't miss a day. I'd feel like I missed something, and I'd come in here and donate my money to the other traders every day, just like all the other new traders that shouldn't be trading live do now that I try to tell you don't waste your money, get on the simulator. But I didn't have anybody telling me that, and I had to learn the hard way. And I couldn't miss a day. I had to come in. I had to come donate my money every day, and I did that for a long time. But I'm telling you, don't do that. You know, if there's a good day and I'm away now, it doesn't bother me at all because I know tomorrow I'll be here and I'll have I'll have a chance to make it then. The market's here every day. It never goes away. It gets boring, in fact. And that's one of the clues. When it does get boring, you will, you'll know you're close because it gets boring. It's a job. And so, no, I don't miss my job. Might miss making a little more money that day. but I don't miss the trading at all. In fact, I usually enjoy the day off, and I wonder what I missed. May wonder what I missed and come back and look. But used to, I'd come back and I might peer back. I don't even know what the market did Friday. I'd have to go back and look. I didn't even know, I didn't pay much attention to it. But yeah, we did have a pretty good sell-off that day. Shows what, shows I didn't even know. Um, I don't care where the prices are at. So all I'm interested in, what is it doing right now when I'm trying to trade? And so, yeah, don't feel like you've got to trade. Don't feel like you're missing something if you're not trading. That's signs of you know, no offense to anybody, but that's signs of amateurism. That's what amateurs do, and that's why they can't wait to lose their money. They can't wait to donate their money to somebody else, and that's why it's so easy for the experienced guys to make money every day because there's a million amateurs ready to hand it to them. And I say that, in complete, not there's no tongue in cheek in that statement at all. That is a fact that there are a thousand new traders that come into this thing every day just ready to hand their money over. They don't think that's what they're going to do, but that's all they're going to do because they're, it's I've made these comments before, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to wrap it up today. But this is Major League sports. This is Major League Baseball. Do you think you're going to walk in off the street, even if you're a pretty good baseball player, and step in the batter's box against the best pitcher in Major League Baseball and get a hit? I mean, how many times you might get lucky and get the bat on the ball, but how many times? I mean, out of 10 bats with the 10 best pitchers, how many hits do you think you might get? You'd be lucky if you get 2 or 3. The pros don't get much more than that, so you'd be lucky to get a hit. You really would. And this is no different right here. You're going up against the best traders in the world that are good at it. And so, there's all the 95% of the money goes to 5% of the people, and that's a fact. And but there's a reason. It's because you have these amateurs that are eager, with a lot of them, some of them with deep, deep pockets, that think this is something anybody can walk in here and do. And it doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how educated you are. In fact, you might do better if you were just dumb and threw a dart at the screen. I promise you. Because if you can't read this chart, you don't know what's going on. You're going to do You're going to do just the wrong thing because you probably would be better off if you think you should buy to sell, and if you think you sell to buy. that's probably a fact as well. But anyway, I don't know how I got off on this tangent. I'm sorry, but sometimes people need to hear that. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for the day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.